Well, they started the week as clowns and fruitcakes, but by the end of it, the main parties were queuing up to pay their respects to UKIP and its supporters, acknowledging it's a mistake to dismiss the choice of nearly a quarter of the voters in Thursday's local elections. But UKIP has been warned the flip side of being taken more seriously is that they'll also be put under more scrutiny. The detail of their policies and the ultimate aim of the party will be looked at. We are joined now by UKIP's leader, Nigel Farage. Welcome to you.
Good morning.
So what is this all about? Is this you trying to win power or just adjust the Conservatives, the course that they're on?
No, I mean, it's very interesting. People obsess about our effect on the Conservative Party, completely ignoring that we knock the Liberal Democrats out of several seats in the South and the West Country, that we pick up a lot more Labour votes than David Lammy. I thought he'd been rather complacent this morning about UKIP. I mean, South Shields, a by-election called with 3 weeks' notice, and we scored 24% of the vote, most of our votes coming from old Labour voters.
But my question really is,
what you've seen,
what's it all about? Where's it all heading?
Oh, what it's all about is fundamentally changing British politics. We have had enough of three parties that have virtually merged into one. You know, the coalition, the opposition. I mean, frankly, there are very few serious differences between them. We want our country back from Brussels. That's number one. Otherwise, we can't govern ourselves. We want to control our borders because whilst we've got no prejudice against anybody, immigration has been hopelessly out of control for the last decade and a touch more.
But if the Conservatives move into the zones that you want them to be in, which is what you've been trying to engineer so far, then it's job done, is it?
But they're not going to do that, are they? And, you know, what'll happen?
They're talking about it this weekend.
Oh, I know they're talking about it, but they don't mean it, and everyone knows that. You know, Mr Cameron set the course of this coalition government. Indeed, his own leadership since 2005 has been pro-EU, pro-open-door immigration and pro-building wind turbines all over our green and pleasant land. He's not going to U-turn on all of those things. If he does, well, good luck to him. But please don't think that UKIP is just some little pressure group that will go away because somebody in Downing Street starts singing the same song.
Well, not just that, but a string of Conservative MPs are starting to say, well, hang on, there's the EU we need to sort out, immigration, so on. So if you take David Cameron out of the picture, then have you got what you want then?
Well, you know, if David Cameron gets removed, and I suppose, given that we've got a European election coming up before the next general election, that's not impossible. If he was removed and somebody else was put in place who wanted to come and talk to us and say, shall we find an accommodation, we consider it. But it's not my priority. My priority is to build a new political party and movement in this country that actually wants to stand up for the interests of ordinary people.
So you need policies across the piece. You need policies on potholes, for example. We heard some of your candidates. Is that UKIP hasn't previously had much to say on other areas?
We're going to find out, aren't we? Because we've established the bridgeheads that I wanted on county councils up and down the country. We're going to be taking that very seriously indeed, and we've got to prove to people what UKIP can do in local government.
OK, well, looking at your 2010 manifesto, just for example, on transport, you called for 3 new high-speed rail lines. The local elections come and you campaign against the only one that they're planning. You went on a march.
Well, I mean, quite right. Do you know, it's slower now from Penzance to Paddington than it was in 1914. So there's a fairly good argument of upgrading lines and bringing benefit to millions of people across Britain, not to spend over £40 billion to build a line through the middle of the English countryside that will only benefit incredibly rich commuters.
So you want 3 new high-speed rail lines and you don't want the one that they're planning?
We certainly don't want HS2 and we opposed it from day one.
OK, on tax, the Times had a good look at your tax proposals at the last election.
Yeah. You
want to cut taxes by 90 billion and spend an extra 30 billion. So they add the two together and they say it's £120 billion black hole.
Yeah, complete rubbish. You know, what they've done is taken our view that ultimately, if we could get rid of employers' national insurance, that'd be a marvellous thing for jobs. That would cost 50 billion, and we say in the document we couldn't do it now. This is all rubbish, frankly.
Isn't this where it's going now?
What they haven't done is taken into account in 2010 where we said the cuts and savings should come. They deliberately haven't done it. But quite honestly, if we look at the Labour Party right now, they have no policy at all for the next election. The current government's figures have failed hopelessly, and we're in a £130 billion black hole, and we will, next year, for the general election, put a fully costed proposal for how we can cut taxes and cut spending in this country.
Just give us an example of where you would make some big swinging cuts.
Well, I wouldn't be giving £53 million a day to the European Union.
Well, I thought you'd say
well,
the
there
EU,
you are. And that'd be a very good start, wouldn't it? And we also wouldn't be wasting quite as much money on foreign aid, particularly to countries who've even got aircraft carriers and their own defence forces, unlike much of ours. And £60 billion a year is spent in this country on quangos, most of which, from what I can see, do no good at all.
Do you want to be Prime Minister?
That's never been my ambition. There are 2 types of people in politics. There are those that want to be something and those that want to do something. And my priority is I want to make sure that my children can grow up in a country that they can call their own.
Are we or are you getting a bit carried away here? Because you get 23% of the vote in the local election. You don't get a single council. You get lots of councillors. And you know that problem is magnified with the general election, with the first past the post system.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
I'm not getting carried away with it. You are with your questions of saying, do I want to become Prime Minister? I'm a realist. I mean, it's fascinating, really. We are the party with the broadest appeal across the country. North, south, east and west. Old Labour voters, rural Tory voters. We are a genuinely national political party. Now, to succeed in Westminster in 2015, we've got to grow and build a lot from here. But please don't think that it's impossible.
Okay.
And I promise you this, UKIP is here to stay.
All right, well, let me just tone down the prime ministerial question and ask you whether you might want to be an MP. I mean, are you going to go in a by-election, or
Well,
at least tell us you're going to stand
I've-
in 2015?
I've been an MEP for the last 13 years, which I've enjoyed in many ways, far more than my colleagues in the European Parliament have, certainly. I'm not going to stand in any by-election before next year. June 2014, we have a European election. That is the day on which I believe that UKIP can cause an earthquake in British politics. I want to lead the party into that. Thereafter, yes, I will stand for a seat in 2015.
Oh, have you decided which one?
No, I've been rather busy for the last few weeks doing other things, but I will think about it.
All right, well, thank you for that information. It sums up the problem a bit for your party, though, doesn't it, Mr Farage, that it is a one-man show?
I don't think it is, and I think if you look
Who else has anyone else heard of?
Well, I think that the lady that stood for us in the Eastleigh by-election, Diane James, appeared on a raft of BBC programmes and other networks last week, and universally is acclaimed as being, very good news for the party. My deputy leader, Paul Nuttall, has appeared on all sorts of programmes, and once again is very popular. He, incidentally, is also somebody from a working-class background, which, of course, doesn't happen in Labour, Lib Dem and Conservative parties anymore. So, no, we are broadening. We're broadening our policy base, and we're broadening the number of faces people will see on television. And actually now, in counties up and down the land, we're going to have local representatives with a big local media presence too.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much for joining us.